My name is Christian Basil. Years ago, I had an idea. I got myself a TARDIS. Took it to new places, met a lot of new people, took some great pictures, and talked Doctor Who. From Krypton Radio and the creators of the Hanging With web show, this is the legend of the Traveling TARDIS. Join me on my latest adventures and become part of the legend.
Hello, fellow Whovians. My name is David Chapman. I am your host today on The Legend of the Traveling TARDIS. Christian had a heck of a weekend, which he will tell us about in a few moments. But he's, of course, not who we're here to talk to specifically today. Today, we've got an amazing guest. Last week, we reviewed his Big Finish audio, Juggernauts. So today, we're going to be talking to Scott Allen Woodard.
Hello. Hey, everybody.
Hello.
Thank you so much for bringing me on.
Well, thank you for being here.
Sorry, I'm still having a convention hangover at this moment.
Sympathy for you, man.
It usually takes like 3 days for it to get over it. It's just like, well, yeah, tired.
Oh, yeah.
We've got a whole bunch of conventions coming up. I have a feeling you're going to see me in this top corner a few more times before the end of the year.
August is just insane because everybody pushed everything to August. It's going to be nuts.
No, the funny thing is, Scott, is we were all masked, so if I get con crud, I'm not exactly sure where it came from.
Yeah.
I slept alone, so I'll definitely want to know where that con crud came from.
Well, those pictures of the hotel you just posted were pretty exciting. So.
Yeah.
Why don't we introduce the rest of our wonderful panel? Let's start down in the corner with Mr. Joey Reynolds from Geek Radio America. How you doing there, Joey?
Thank you very much. Appreciate you having me on. And I'm on Live 365 right now, which would be live365.com/Geek Radio America. And website's up and running. Finally had to solve an issue over the weekend with an SSL. So yeah, geekradioamerica.com. It's every day is an adventure. Yeah.
Yay, adventure.
Is that their logo? Do they actually?
You squinted like you just made a mistake. I was just like, where every day's an adventure. Damn it. It's not the right tag. That's not what I was supposed to say.
I know. But no, every day is an adventure, especially in this business, but I wouldn't have it any other way. It's a lot better than others. So yeah.
It's true. And speaking of adventure, with a properly Christian segue, Mr. Mark Muncy, how are you doing today?
Oh, doing fantastic. I'm had a fun time filming things that I can't talk about in Orlando.
So what's the point? Why did you
NDA?
I'm terrible at secrets. That's why they should know better. But it involves a streaming service that starts with a D and ends with a plus, but not Disney. And
they all have pluses now.
So something like that. And believe it or not, there's a clue. I'm filming a thing for them. So and I'm going to be writing some stuff for them too. So it's exciting. Sometime this summer it will air. But anyway, that's what I was doing all weekend while you guys were having fun at Central Florida Comic Con.
Almost everybody.
It's not like it's a guilt trip.
Well, Christian, anyway. Apparently had too much fun. Well, he's acting.
No.
So,
I mean, what did you do that you weren't at the Comic-Con?
Well, I was supposed to be at Central Florida Comic-Con. I was going to work the booth with Christian. I was going to have fun with our fans. I was going to chat, make new ones, and my alternator died. So my car wouldn't start. I figured out it was the alternator, took the alternator out. I am a do-it-yourselfer, so took off the serpentine belt. It was kind of old too. So yeah, I basically spent the entire weekend changing my alternator and resetting the serpentine belt and then resetting the timing. So my car works. It's ready to go. I mean, it's been fine then, but there was no way I could drive out to Central Florida Comic-Con. So I had to message Christian. I'm like, sorry, bro, I can't make it. Car's dead, and I'm going to fix it myself and save some money. So, yeah, she paints and she's a mechanic.
Amazing.
Thank you, Dad. Thank you, Grandpa.
She makes julienne fries.
And I can bake and cook and all those fun things.
Yeah. So I'm very appreciative. I want to give a big thank you to Jessica Womack and Nisha Mulchin from Diversely Geeks. They were big help this weekend. And it was just an exciting time, wall-to-wall people. Melanie didn't have fun, no.
It was hot. It was hot outside. It was 92 degrees here. So I was working outside on my car. So yeah.
It's a mechanic. I felt bad because Melanie was like, I really want to come. And it's like, aw, 10th Doctor, Melanie, I knew it. I just knew it. Yeah.
Yep, I make sure that he's in a
The doctors are here.
Yes.
Yay.
I know. I'm so sorry.
Yes,
I know
will give
you were at the con and you were saying hello to everybody. I missed everyone. So that's that. Okay.
Made it. Oh, Dan Holyfield's here. Yes, Dan.
Yay! Dan made it.
The gang's all here.
10's on the wall.
Yeah, you're on the wall, babe.
It's on the wall.
I got you, boo.
Christian, Mr.
Yes,
Christian
sir.
Basil. So you're dead tired. How else did the
Does it look real life?
Let's do some of the highlights beyond just the
Yeah, that's
you get more pictures for the traveling TARDIS?
I did. And let me put up some of the highlights from our convention over at Central Florida Comic-Con. Just some, first of all, we had TARDIS Tizer. We had a big jug and a TARDIS, so there was no excuse why people couldn't come out
And it
over
was
there.
bigger on the inside.
Yes. Our friend from Necronomicon is Ann Morris. She was the only one who came up, but she did a lovely 13.
Very cool.
We met some new friends, including our new friend Fall. Her name is Fall, and we also met Autumn, which was kind of funny. They were sitting right next to each other. So, but Fall and her boyfriend Richard, we wanted to say hi to them, give them a shout out there. Kira, the former winner of the cosplay event from I think it was now 2 years ago. Showed up again.
Oh, wow.
The TARDIS. Yeah. She debuted. And
Very
a couple
cool.
of other nice little pictures. Of course, our very first picture was this gentleman right here.
Oh, he's Dinjarin.
This is definitely the way.
This is
And-
the
I
one.
like how he's got
That's
his
some nice
the
stuff.
Mudhorn sigil on his pauldron.
And actually, Chrissy had made this for the Traveling TARDIS. And I just want to let you know, if you're going to Villicon, I believe that's at the end of the month, I can attend. But Jessica and
Orlando.
a makeshift Traveling TARDIS team will be there. If you want to check out the Traveling TARDIS, you're going to have to ask because he's got his own container now. That is where he will be in
That's
the
how
whole
he's.
time.
That's how he stays socially distanced.
That's how he stays socially distanced out there. So, of course. And the
Encased
last
in
picture.
a box of emotion.
I know. I feel bad. Don't let me out. It's like Tinkerbell. And finally, Jessica, you get a chance to see her, and she got to be up against my car with the Traveling TARDIS as we were packing away there. So thank you to Jessica, thank you to Nisha, and thank you to all who came out to our panels. And then we just had a blast this weekend. We talked about Jodie Whittaker, we talked about cosplay, we talked about companions. We were just having a great time. So Melanie, I wish you could have been there, but you know what?
You had 2 panels each day.
Yes, we did. That's why I was exhausted.
Yeah.
It's been far too long since I've been at a convention. I miss it.
Oh,
It's a beautiful thing, and I mean, especially we were looking at it. I wasn't expecting too much. I thought people may be just a little bit hesitant about the COVID situation, but no, you could not. As a friend of mine put it, you could not throw a hand grenade without hitting somebody. I mean, it was just there's just wall to wall people. The vendors are happy. I heard a lot of people had made tons of money, so I guess we're making up for time that we couldn't have had this past year. And thanks to Ben Penrod and everybody at Central Florida Comic-Con, it was wonderful. I hope you guys did a great job.
Now the big question, though, Christian, did you talk about our YouTube channel?
No, not on here yet.
We haven't had a chance to promote it yet, so we got to say, make sure you subscribe if you haven't already to our YouTube channel. You can see the URL down scrolling across the bottom there, youtube.com/The Legend of the Traveling TARDIS. We are trying to get how many more hours of viewing time do we need there, Christian? Roughly?
Just 1,000.
Just 1,000.
Less than
Get in
1,000
there.
now.
Stay in the background, watch us, listen to us while you're at work. You can hear
Yeah,
Christian.
because originally we were a podcast, and now we are, streaming live on YouTube and Facebook, and our partners over at Wizard World. So you can still kind of give us a listen if you want to work along, get into those Excel
There you go.
spreadsheets and do your permutations and
well,
listen to this nonsense.
Well, since we're here, let's go ahead and bring it up. There you go. This is our YouTube channel, and please subscribe over there. We're up to 1,220, according to that number that I see out there. You can get exclusive content, and look, we're actually doing an upcoming live stream with Scott A. Woodward, our guest.
Yeah.
Wait, what? Is that this now?
This is now. We're in real time. This is happening. This is the thing.
Is this now or is it then?
No, this is now.
Go back now. Back then.
When will then be now?
Soon.
Ooh.
All right, shut up. Let me exclusive content, the Who News, bits of the TARDIS. We also do interviews, what you're seeing now. Doctor Who reviews, Big Finish reviews. We also did the Juggernauts. Which, Scott, you got a chance to watch that, didn't you?
I've seen a little bit of it.
Okay.
I get all nervous when you start to get critical.
Well,
Any writer, it's like, oh well, they're starting to get a little. Critical.
We had Sophie Aldred on here. We kind of surprised her.
Yes.
Said we're going to rate your book while you're on here.
Oh.
So we rated her, gave her a rating. It was impressive.
And of course, I'm giving my childhood crush, the worst review of the five of us. And that's
Oh,
what
no.
And
Hang
full
your head in
disclosure, that
shame.
was Christian's idea. That was not okay, we're going to do the review. Okay, cool. And all of a sudden you realize Sophie's there and you're like,
what?
I'm curious if that influenced numbers to go up or so.
You think? I'm going to. Well, usually a review is about the entire thing, just like your entire football team winning or losing. It should be about the entire thing, not just the quarterback, or just the coach, or just this. So when she showed up, I'm like, okay, we need to just go with the person who was the right tackle. That's all I'm rating.
Everybody gave a great review. Everybody gave a great review of the Juggernaut, so I think we're happy about that.
I'm sure. I mean, I tend to avoid negative reviews of anything that I've created. I think most writers do that just out of for health reasons, mental health reasons. But yeah, no, I'm sure it's always fair, and I do appreciate any comments that come my way.
Do you
we
try
had
to?
a lot of good ones.
Do you try to just stay away from reviews completely? Like, you know what? I don't want to know. It's out. I made my little baby. It's out in the world. Don't let it be good so I get more work, but I don't want to know anything about it.
Yeah, I do tend to avoid them unless somebody highlights one. A lot of times I'll get somebody will send something along and say, "Hey, you got a really nice review here." And
okay.
So I kind of let the social media filter that stuff out for me. But I mean, there's stuff that I've written even with Big Finish that I've never even heard. So.
Ooh.
That's all
we're gonna do.
No, that's fair.
I think
That's
what we need to
fair.
do. So we have the absolute maximum amount of time to talk about that. I think we should do commercial now.
Okay.
A couple minutes early, and then we got a little bit more time without an interruption, and we can talk all about Big Finish Audio when we come back.
When we come back, please return. Please continue to stay logged on, tune in, and we'll continue our discussion with that man right there, Scott Woodard, writer of The Big Finish. When we return, please continue to stay logged on, tuned in, and become part of the legend.
Jackie Sonnenberg's My Soul to Keep is a ghost story rooted in the realities of actual cults. When 13-year-old Sky Monroe arrives at her new boarding school, all she can think about is death and connecting with the afterlife. Soon she discovers her school's spirituality group, the Guardians of Light, and they have a secret. They can speak with the dead, and the organization is a cult. But this isn't Sky's only problem. The campus house where Sky resides is haunted, and even the ghosts have an agenda. They intend on getting the souls they want. Filled with mystery and intrigue plucked straight from the headlines, author Jackie Sonnenberg's research and attention to detail give this ghost story an even more eerie atmosphere. Find My Soul to Keep on Amazon.com today.
Oh, brilliant! It's hard to believe that in the 56-year history of the greatest sci-fi television show in the English language, there has never been a fan guide to Doctor Who. The official books might give you what they think you need to know, but only a guide written by a true fan will give you what you really want to know. Join Whovian, the brilliant Mackenzie Flaw, as she takes you on an intensive journey inside the world of the first female Doctor. In the Binge Watcher's Guide to Doctor Who, Season 11. Right, let's get a shift on.
Author Cindy Kep is writing on the edge. Books include Remnant in the Stars, The Loudest Actions, Lines of Succession, Mindstorm, Condemned Courier, the Yerushalayim series, and Animal Eye. Find author Cindy Kep at CKOEPP.com today.
And we got a big announcement. Our friends over at the Rising Tide Publications, they will be allowing us now next show to be live streaming over there. So you can join our friends over at facebook.com, Rising Tide Broadcast Network. That's the Rising Tide Broadcast Network. Our friends over there will be live streaming, and check us out. Also on our YouTube page, also on our Twitch page, and our friends over at the Wizard World page. Go ahead and check them out. And if you're watching this live stream on our Facebook page and on those channels that I mentioned, don't thank us. Thank our friends over at geekinsider.com. That's geekinsider.com.
At Geek Insider, we foster relationships with those in the geek sphere so we can give our audience the insider view of entertainment, tech, and more.
There you are.
We're streaming on my page too.
What's that? Oh, that's right. Yeah. Go ahead.
Yeah, we're out there. We're on my Facebook page as well as all those other places. Give me a follow too. But we are back, and we're not talking about me. We are talking about Scott Allen Woodard and some of his work. And you've got a whole whack of it. I brought up like the Goodreads page, and it just keeps going, and it is nowhere near exhaustive. But just for Big Finish, because we were on that, you had, and we weren't sure about this when we were talking last week. You did 3 Doctor Who's for Big Finish.
3, yeah. Well, I mean, Darvos counts, right? So it's not technically Doctor Who, but obviously it's in the same universe, but it doesn't have the Doctor Who logo on it per se. But
just for Dave, I'm putting this into the chat, so I'm putting it all over the place. So the rathole.ca, I'm adding that, but it's in the chat.
Yay.
So you can take a copy. Yay. So don't forget.
Yay But yes, so tell us a little bit. You are one of 5 Americans to have written basically official Doctor Who scripts. Yes, audio, but nevertheless still official.
Yeah. Kind of a weird thing. So do you want me to go back into the annals of history? Is that what this is? Okay.
Yes.
I always have to make sure I pronounce that word correctly. So.
Exactly.
No, so honestly, so what happened was I moved out to LA in the early 90s and started attending Gallifrey 1 very, very early on. And some years later, I became friends with Gary Russell. I'm sure some of you know who that guy is. So Gary and I became fast friends, and we used to interact at the convention a lot at Gallifrey 1. And he also knew at the time that I was working for Warner Brothers as a writer-producer. I was actually one of the people who launched Kids WB. So some of you, I'm sure, watched it when you were younger. So I worked there. I used to send loads of DC swag over to Gary. And at one point, it was shortly after, I think I don't remember the exact number, but after one of the Gallifrey conventions, I remember being in my office. We had obviously exchanged phone numbers. Phone rang. I picked it up. He said, "Hi, Scott. It's Gary. How you doing?" I said, "I'm doing great. Just working on some Batman stuff right now," which of course thrilled him to no end. Huge Batman fan. And then he said, "Would you be interested in writing a Doctor Who for us?" So I picked the phone up off the floor and proceeded to say, Absolutely, I would love to. Now, of course, at that time, I mean, Juggernauts I think was number 65, if I remember right, in the series, and so at that time they had sort of done a lot of exploration and brought in all new characters and new settings and all sorts of crazy new stuff. And I thought that's what the direction would be where we would go. But he then said, okay, well, we have a bit of a laundry list, and so what I'd like is a Dalek story with Darvos and the Sixth Doctor and Mel and the Mechanoids, if you could throw those guys in too. So of course I'm thinking, okay, first time Big Finish writer, and you're giving me the friggin' Daleks? Okay. So of course I said yes, and the rest is sort of history. Yeah, that was my very first one, and it was remarkably hands off. I just was banging away at stuff, and I sent over a lot of preliminary ideas, and I mean, at one point I think I had 15 proposed titles, weird stuff like that. Like I think it was everything from domes, which I thought was kind of a neat idea because we were going to have dome cities, but of course domes being Daleks. Spider in the Web was a kind of too obvious. We chucked that one out, and Juggernauts was on there, and of course Gary went for that. So that's how that all came together, and then. As soon as I found out when they were going to record, I booked a ticket and flew over to London and was there for the session. And that was a blast. And it was really funny because, as you said, there were only a few Americans who have written Big Finish audios. And one of the other ones, gosh, why am I spacing on his name? Darren? Anyone? I think it's Darren. He was actually in the studio at the time, and they were recording one of his audios. So we walk in, and of course we're the only two Americans, probably for miles, and we're chatting about writing for Doctor Who, and Colin is there, and I remember one of the most wonderful things that Colin said to me at the time was that he was delighted to meet me, but he was really surprised I was an American, except for one word that was in my script, and that was the word "gotten," which I had tossed in there somewhere. You're saying instead of, for some reason they apparently don't say gotten, so that was the only one that was a bit of a giveaway to, and so wow. That's how it all worked out, and I got a little cameo in the play, which is fun, and I had a blast. And the only other thing I'd want to share real quick on that is I will never forget being in the studio when Terry started reading those lines, the lines that I had written, and of course they processed the voice live, so immediately I hear Darvos reading my script. And just talking about it right now, I'm getting goosebumps, I swear. And I teared up a little bit. I actually got super emotional because I thought, I'd been a Doctor Who fan since I was a kid. Yeah. And now here I was in London with Terry Molloy reading my lines. It was crazy. So that's how that all became a thing.
In fact, here's all four of them.
Oh yes, that's a great story in itself. Writing that, I haven't even
opened the thing yet.
Oh, you gotta hear those. They're remarkable. And so Gary actually considers the Idabra series to be one of his proudest moments. Yeah.
I'm just amazed that it was like an episode of Chopped where they literally just gave you a box and went, "Here you go. Here's your ingredients. Make this." And you're kind of like, "And how much time do I have my deadline?" You need to do this. Oh, and here's the secret ingredient. Bam.
Oh yeah, sure.
Terry Molloy.
Oh, and also do a Mechanoid.
You guys have had Terry on, right? I mean, he is like one of the nicest people I've ever had the pleasure of working with. So.
If I don't include Monty in some kind of homage to him, he will throttle me. He's just like, and I actually have some picture around with Monty with the TARDIS. This is actually kind of cool. There, it's beautiful.
That's wonderful.
So I'm sorry, I had to walk away for a second there. How do you get the gig? How did this all start?
We just did it.
Okay, I told you. I'm sorry.
Rewind 10 minutes.
If you didn't know,
I've been waiting to do this the entire show.
There you go.
Thank you. Now that's
moving on.
I'm your host, Christian Basil. What the?
Hey, Christian, you should go back and watch the show.
Commercial breaks are for Christian. That's when I went and grabbed that one.
Well, I'm running the commercials here, so I'm just
okay, fine.
I'll sum up. Jose Gallifrey 1. Became very good friends with Gary Russell. He offered me the job.
Boom.
Yes,
Yes, there we go. He
How long
almost
did
made
that
it a
read? There
haiku
you
for
go.
you.
Permit me
3
to
lines.
ask if I may, in regards to writing Darvos, did you have the chance, the opportunity to speak with Terry? Because obviously Terry has when Terry's done these performances on television, you know, he's left so much on the at least where the performance is, and he probably feels that he's proprietary to the character, just like other folks who've played the characters in the series. Namely, like Elizabeth Sladen, may she rest in peace, being proprietary for the character. So, have you ever had conversations with him about the depths of his character or what he wanted to present, or saying something along the lines of Davros would never do that? I mean, did you ever have the chance to, at least in terms of writing this series, have you ever worked with him on at least defining, having him have a say in character development?
Yeah, well, I mean, in regards to Juggernauts, it was a little bit more hands off. But when we were doing Davros for hands off. Oh, good. Okay, we could just move past that joke. That was not intentional, I swear. I swear. Okay, anyway.
You know, I've always heard that phrase. It's like, no pun intended, no pun intended. I'm one of those, like, if I can get a pun out of that, it's intended.
I'm not going to claim that one. No, but in regards to Davros, we did get a document that Terry wrote. And it really went into the depths of Davros's background as far as he was concerned, and why Davros is the way that he is, and why he behaves the way that he does. Yeah. And that was a fascinating look into the character that we all took on board, all 4 of us, when we were writing the play. And what was really, really fascinating too, and this goes way back to when we had like Yahoo groups. I mean, this is the early days of social media and internet.
So there a dial-up connection in here, sir?
There was not a dial-up involved, but we were all in Yahoo groups, all the writers, and we would post ideas and bits of dialogue and snippets of our scripts, and so everybody was aware of what each one was doing for the entire storyline, because it's considered more or less one storyline. But I mean, Terry was great. He just gave us so much direction that came from a place where obviously we had no access. So that was great.
Cool.
We're all just laughing, enjoying the cat.
Oh,
let's hold on. We're gonna go like this.
Mine are all sleeping right now. So.
Oh, now the cat's gone.
Here she is. Idiot. She's going right behind. She goes. She's so tiny. She's underneath my camera, except for that tail where she just keeps moving the microphone.
That's great.
I've had many interviews where the tail has gone back and forth.
I'm so sorry.
Yeah.
Welcome to the Legend of the Traveling Kitty Cat.
Luna.
In fact, Melanie's going to be replaced by the cat. We're just going to have the cat.
Oh no, we have a commercial. She's going out that door.
Oh, okay.
Someday when I have enough time to actually catch up on our bits of the TARDIS thing, I'm going to do like a highlight reel of us and the cats.
Yeah.
Donevitably, one of us ends with the cat.
Thankfully, we record late enough. My lizard's asleep. My scaly cat's asleep, so he doesn't bother us for this.
Scott, truly, we are professional. I mean, I'll catch back during the commercial. I'll catch up on the last 10 minutes. Melanie put away her cat. I'll be putting a post here. That's awesome, right there.
What have I gotten into?
Beautiful.
Those are quick aside. So the claws I'm wearing in that picture, those are actually Hugh's claws. So my wife was on Wolverine, and I mean, I won't go into too much detail about that. She was in Australia for like 2-3 months on that movie. Broke her ankle horrifically. And that was a surgery involving thing. That was awful. So sometime later, she was still in crutches, and we found out that they were doing a big photo shoot with the entire cast here in LA. So we packed up in the car and drove down there. And while I was in there and got to meet everybody, by the way, Hugh is the most charismatic person I've ever met in my life. But the claws were sitting on the table. And one of the guys who was on set, he was like, "Oh, you want to try them on?" And I was like, "Hell yeah!"
Yes,
so I grabbed those and said, "Quick, get some pictures." So those are the real claws.
So cool.
Yeah, they're molded to Hugh's hands.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
So it's almost kind of like a brass knuckle thing, where it's like here.
There's a grip in the palm. Yeah. And
okay.
There's a little wire that goes between the fingers, and then they're just attached.
So
cool.
Melanie, anytime we're on the set, when they're recording Doctor Who, we're on the set out there. Make sure we grab the TARDIS and go run before Jodie gets back. Let's take this. It's a whole thing. Bring it with us. Let's just see if they notice it disappeared. We'll just.
I'm just in awe that he actually wore the hero prop, hero claw.
Pretty epic.
Those were his. Those were the hero ones.
I just like his face, dude. Look at that ear that's going on out there.
How could you not make that face when you have those claws?
Right?
No, I've seen people do the
hero
face. I'm like, dude.
It's the head down, eyes up. Everybody looks more badass that way.
Dude.
Yeah.
The theater guy in me is going crazy. Don't touch other people's props.
No. Master in me said no. That's what everyone plays with.
Over 100 million, everybody touches it. That's a
yeah, right.
Finders, keepers, losers. I'm playing with this thing. It's mine for the next 5 minutes at least. Speaking of 5 minutes,
I was going to say, since while we all take that couple of minutes to just digest the complete awesomeness that is that and the attack eyebrows, why don't we go to commercial? Because it's about that time. What do you think, Christian?
We'll be right back.
Alien invaders enslave Earth,
unleashing hunters into the ruin wastes.
One young survivor struggles to elude their monsters, clinging to hope.
When he's stolen off the planet by a sarcastic starship AI, they pit their uneasy alliance against a treacherous galaxy.
Explore a whole new verse of barbarism and betrayal.
Wonder and adventure.
In the Scion series
by Michael J. Allen.
Beginning with Book 1, Scion Conquered Earth.
Available in print, ebook, and audio on Amazon.com.
This is Cosplay Michael with the Hanging Out Club Show. I want to tell you about my friends at Embellis Effects in Orlando, Florida. They've got makeup, costumes, and props for all of your costume needs. And the team at Embellis Effects is helpful and friendly. Embellis Effects is one of my favorite places, and I know it will be yours too. I'll see you there. Or go to embelliseffects.com. And remember, cosplay is for everyone.
Meet the Doctor.
I'm the Doctor.
But not the one you were expecting.
All right, sexy. It's time to go home.
Doctor Who Velocity. Streaming now.
I am ready to play this game. I am waiting to play this game. I've got my packs ready. I've got everything going. Check out our over at Doctor Who Worlds Apart, Doctor Who-worldsapart.com, and you can get free packs. You can get free packs, and if you sign into your account daily, you can earn. I think it's Pandex. I keep on getting it wrong, right?
Pandex.
Pandex, and then you can get free cards. So please check them out. Tell them that the Legend of the Traveling TARDIS sent you. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. My name is Christian Basil. Our host today is Dave Chapman from the rathole.ca.
I'm just plugging in right now just to get my Pandex.
Okay.
Right.
And our lovely guest, Scott Woodard, who's also the author-writer of a couple of Big Finish audios, as well as he's done some work with Disney and Warner Brothers. We're back over here.
Oh, and that.
What's with that, Mark? What are you doing? All right, Mark. Since you insist, Mark, bring it out.
This is one of the main reasons I was so proud to have Scott on. I'm a huge Doctor Who fanboy, as we all know, but I'm also a big Flash Gordon fanboy. And when I saw Scott was coming on, I was like, that name rings a bell. And I dug up, and I had just kickstarted this, I believe, last year. Might have been a year before. I tend to Kickstarter a lot of fun things. This was the Flash Gordon role-playing game from for Savage Worlds, and it was put out by Pinnacle Studios. It does the great Deadlands role-playing game and a bunch of others. But they also, I saw the writing on this was done by a Scott A. Woodard. Is that familiar? I mean, that might seem like
weird.
He might save every one of us.
That's a weird coincidence, that name.
Yeah. So tell us about that gig.
So,
Yes.
yeah. So the role playing thing. That's again, I'm one of those lucky people who managed to take all of my hobbies, my childhood dreams, and sort of make them reality as a career. Even going back to working for Warner and Disney and cartoons and all that. So I've been extraordinarily lucky in that regard. And I started with role-playing games when I was a wee lad of probably 10 years of age. And I'm old, so we're talking like 79. That's when I first discovered D&D. So jump ahead. And I'm sort of between jobs a few years ago. And I was watching various forums for role-playing games, and I happened to notice that one publisher was dumping their editor. And I thought, well, this could be a nice way to get my foot in the door. And so I immediately reached out, and I said, hey, I'm available. Of course I'm an editor. I'm not an editor. But I was that day.
Yes, you are.
Yes.
You've edited your own stuff. It's all good.
Yeah, I mean, I was able to toss a few things in their direction. I think at the time I had already written the Big Finish audios and some other projects. So I at least had some pedigree, and they gave me a chance. And lo and behold, I edited some 50 products for that publisher. And then it sort of segued into interacting with other publishers. And then I got offered an opportunity to write a role-playing game. And the first one I wrote actually was The Sixth Gun, which is based on a comic series from Oni Press. I don't know if anybody knows that one, but it's a really cool Weird Western comic. I think they won a few awards, but great graphic novel series. And I got to adapt that comic into an RPG for Pinnacle. And after I did that, Shane Hensley, who runs Pinnacle, said, well, do you want to do something else? And I said, I would love to, of course. And I said, but what are you thinking? Of course, at the time, like you had mentioned, they have Deadlands. And I thought maybe I was going to do some Deadlands or something else, one of their own IPs. And he said, well, you have a license for Flash Gordon. Are you familiar with it? Now, of course, it's Flash Gordon. Of course I'm familiar with it. And I'm another one of those guys who, as a kid, I watched those old serials with Buster Crabbe on TV, and I read the comics, and I was into Flash, but never thought I would have an opportunity to write it professionally. So yeah, out of the blue, that popped up once again, and somebody approached me with that. I mean, what's going on? And I said yes. And I just brand managed and wound up writing most everything for the line. We brought in some extra writers on our source book, our Kingdoms of Mongo source book. And fortunately, that line is still going. We just had a crowdfunding campaign for a new Moons of Mongo source book and pawns that you can use that are, all beautifully full-colored, two-sided punch-out die-cut pawns. You can bring your characters to life on the tabletop, and there's maps and archetype cards and all sorts of crazy stuff. So it's still going, and I'm also writing another beast of an RPG right now for the same publisher. It's about 90,000 words at the moment, so it's going. That's the gaming stuff.
Savage Worlds then?
This one is another Savage Worlds one, yes, and it's based on an existing IP, but I cannot say anything more.
Oh, more NDAs.
Yeah, I mean, I
love it.
I live NDAs, especially because of my wife, what she works on. I mean, I don't know if we'll go into that at all, but that's a whole other story. So.
Well, you haven't signed for
saving every one of us. So us Flash Gordon's fanboys, we're very happy to see this.
Well, thanks.
And as an old school role player too, again, I started in the 70s as well as a young wee lad. But then I never would have. We always made our own Flash Gordon RPGs with things like Star Frontiers and maybe even Traveler. And then now we got this. It's like, oh, this is exactly what we wanted. And I just wanted to say it was very well written, and I helped Kickstarter both versions.
I really appreciate it. Thank you. All the non-gamers have zoned out, but
there's one. They mix up.
That's true.
Christian's just going up full stop, so don't worry about that.
Plus, half the cast of Doctor Who were once in Flash Gordon at some point or another.
That's true. Yeah.
So
quite a few. And of course, Sam Jane Jones wrote our foreword for the book.
Yeah, which is great. And he was just here in Central Florida a couple weeks ago, and he's supposed to be back in July. So he's hitting the rounds down our area. So
that's awesome. He's a good guy.
Yep.
Now you sent me some
pictures.
pictures.
Mark was able to be on the panel because I knew he would be geeking out on this even more than me.
Well, my big thing was when my book hit the bestseller list, my publisher got Brian Blessed to do a Muncie's Alive for me. So I was that's had to do this. So
I just love that Melanie is in the chat as we're chatting in this.
I know, I'm in there. Just
well,
chatting with everybody.
the doctors are fighting over your wall space there. It's like,
I know, right? Like, I don't have much
all
wall
over
space,
again.
guys.
You need your
Sorry.
top 8. You need your top 8.
I don't have much wall. Here we go. As Nicholas Anthony Talkert says, I love seeing how other game makers got in. So not everyone zoned out there.
There was beer involved in my getting in. I'm just going to say.
Check out
as any good gaming company there usually is.
Oh, yeah.
I got to ask you, because you sent us some pictures, and I really wanted to focus on this one, because this is one of my favorite authors. You're sitting next to one of my favorite authors.
Okay. Oh, Rob.
Yeah, Rob. Not only that, one of my favorite, I guess I could safely say, storytellers, because he's hysterical.
Yeah, Rob's great. I did a few conventions with him, not just Gallifrey, but I also did Chicago TARDIS. Mm-hmm. So, we've shared the stage a few times talking about writing Big Finish and other things, short stories and such. So, yeah, he's a good guy. We're still friends on Facebook. We keep in touch.
And meeting your hero.
Hey! There we go. So I'm like 15 there.
Yeah. Oh, my gosh.
Yeah. I actually brought that photo with me when I went over for the recording of the Juggernauts and showed it to Colin.
What?
He loved it.
Oh my God.
He just absolutely loved it.
Wow. Now, was this the moment you talked to Gary and said, hey, it's
just making up.
Making of the Juggernauts, so it wasn't there.
Yeah.
Or much earlier, did you look like that at that point?
Oh God, no. That's like I said, I'm an old man. So that was about 86 or so, I think, when that
meeting our first Dalek.
Yeah, that's a friend of mine built that Dalek. Of course, I had to get a photo with it.
Well done, too.
Yeah, it's pretty
very
good.
well done.
I was
at first I'm looking at it, I'm like, wait a minute, it's in a garage next to like a Craftsman tool chest. I'm like, did you build that? Or your friend?
No, that's here in Burbank. Yeah, I don't know if it's still here. That was a few years ago, but I mean, at the time, I think I had already released Juggernauts. As soon as I knew he had a Dalek, I said, "Can I come over?"
I was so disappointed. I was actually a volunteer for our local PBS affiliate, and they were doing an auction. They actually had me stand up and read off the auction, read off the teleprompter and all that stuff. And in the background, I noticed there was a TARDIS that they were using for their auctions and stuff like that, for their pledge drives, I should say. And it was the first time ever I saw a TARDIS in its full scale. And there was something about it that I wanted to walk up and open the door, but I knew if I opened the door, I would be disappointed because I wanted something else to be behind that door. And surely enough, I opened the door, looked around, and go, damn.
No, you're supposed to open the door, close your eyes, and use your imagination.
I know. I wasn't being very imaginative when I saw the TARDIS. I was just like, come on. Tom Baker's in there, right? Here's another awesome picture. Speaking of Flash Gordon.
Oh, there you go.
There we go.
That was a cosplayer. I was like, oh, I've got to get a photo with that.
That looks so awesome there. And
there's a gang of troublemakers.
There's the gang.
It's nice and shiny in there. And here.
Oh, there's Terry and Gary. Terry and Gary.
Oh, Terry. There he is. Yeah.
On the right.
Before the bear. He's always had that bear, though.
I think it's always been around.
I just love this picture.
That's his childhood bear. He's had it fixed.
I love this picture that you sent me. I don't know why, but there.
It's a really good photo.
It is a good photo.
That's true.
It's well balanced.
That was interesting. That photo wasn't posed at all. That was a candid. And I was at Gen Con, and it was the Sixth Gun had just come out, and the writer of the comic, Colin Bunn, was running a special celebrity game that I think we had done a special feature on the Kickstarter or something. And I was just watching him run the game, and little did I know someone was taking a picture off to the side. So I dig that photo too. It's pretty cool. My Roman nose. What's that?
So are you going to come back to Gen Con this year?
Not this year. Not this year. Next year for sure, though. But I am a regular there. I I'm going to skip this year just for various reasons. But next year I'll be back on the floor.
Interesting year there for sure.
Yeah, I just kind of wanted to get back to what it was, and I'm just afraid it's going to be a mishmash of chaos and. Yeah,
I'm a little disappointed. I mean, I'm happy it's happening. I'm a little disappointed that they moved it because the week after the original dates was MegaCon in Florida.
Oh.
And I was going to come drive down, see these other fine folks. And I think they're going to be at MegaCon. Christian, are we going to be at MegaCon?
Well, we are.
No, I'm not.
You can be there virtually. I'm sure
I'll Skype you, man, and you can be on the phone. We'll walk around with you.
Yeah. There we go.
Hey, Scott, maybe
right.
you might want to think about this for after the break. But if there's one mythos that, if it was just made ready for you, which mythos would you want to start writing for and sink your teeth into and create original fiction based on that mythos? Just an idea. Well, I mean, we're getting close to a break.
That's the same thing when we came back. So that's a great topic to hit when we come back from these next commercials. And boom.
This is cosplay.
Famous Faces and Funnies in Melbourne, Florida is leading the way in pop culture fun. From comic books and graphic novels to Funko Pops and collector's items, Famous Faces and Funnies has it all. Rick Shea and the professional team at Famous Faces and Funnies are friendly and knowledgeable. Whether you're looking for toys, props, collector treasures, or a new comic book, Famous Faces and Funnies is your one-stop shop. To find Famous Faces and Funnies on Facebook and Twitter, just type at FFF Comics.
You have more options than ever before when choosing a film, a television or internet series, a book to curl up with, or even a radio show or podcast. Get to know the people who are creating for you. The Hangin' With Web Show, hosted by award-winning author and journalist G.W. Pomecher, is the internet's fastest-growing web talk show series. The Hangin' With Web Show features professional, yet casual, in-depth interviews with creative arts and entertainment pros. Meet the people behind a digital revolution in creating more quality content than ever before in the history of media. Find the Hangin' With Web Show on YouTube, Facebook, or Twitter, or simply go to www.hanginwithshow.com. That's www.hanginwithshow.com.
This is the Legend of the Traveling TARDIS. Follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Subscribe to us wherever you listen to your favorite podcasts. Also catch us on the HWWS Web TV YouTube channel. Subscribe today and become part of the legend.
The massive audio Doctor Who Bad Wolf Bluetooth TARDIS speaker. That's all I gotta say, one word. Wow, it looks like it just jumped right off the screen. Here it is in all its Bad Wolf glory. Right here is the on-off switch and the up and down volume. Right here's the speaker. The TARDIS stands about 6 inches from the bottom of the TARDIS all the way up to the top where the light is. Look at the detail. Wow.
Go to FameTech, Amazon.com, FameTech, FAMETEK, for those of you listening to our audio version. I had both products over at Central Florida Comic Con. I actually had the speaker and the charger freaks me out. I turned it back on and it lights up. You saw it in the commercial. I was just like, unplug. Put it away. I don't want to look at that damn weeping angel. But my goodness. So, ow, God, I hit a table.
Ow.
Or did the table hit you?
The table hit me.
Show we've done. So, getting back to Joey's question before the break.
There are a few IPs I would love to play around in. And there's actually the possibility of one or two of these things coming to light at some point. I've had discussions with some folks about them. But oddly, it's amazing how 3 of them are British. But Blake 7 is something I would love to play with because I think it's just a pretty fascinating universe. The tripods which is
okay.
I'm an enormous John Christopher fan. I've read everything that the man ever wrote. But I would love to do something with tripods because it seems like it's just sitting there and no one's doing anything with it. At one point, I started to actually construct a trilogy of books that would have sort of continued the story. Well, it would have connected the story between when the tripods came and then the event, the White Mountains, or what's the first one is White Mountains, I think, in the trilogy. So I started writing something and then just kind of dumped it. But I would love to play in the tripods universe. Holmes, I mean, there's a glut of Holmes stuff out there, but I want my chance. I want to do something with Sherlock Holmes. I think it would be a lot of fun to do something. And then Babylon 5, and not so much Babylon 5 within the existing continuity, which of course it's a closed universe as far as Straczynski's concerned, but it just seems like there's so many more stories to be told out there beyond the station. So I would love to play in that world, in that universe as well. Just a few.
Pick up Crusade.
Yeah, exactly.
Get from there, yeah.
Fix Crusade. Anyway.
Had to bring it up. I know that one always gets Michael.
Yeah, I love the Rangers, but oh well.
Yep.
Now, during the break, I did add a photo here so that way I can kind of segue into my question. And that's cinema and sorcery. So this is not a small little book, sir. This is a huge. I mean, when you decided to make this guide, how on earth did you two tackle it? Where were you going to begin? Where did it end? Yeah,
I mean,
it's a beast.
So yeah, that was kind of a fun little thing. Arnold Blumberg, who I co-wrote the book with, we had known each other for quite a few years through Gallifrey and through Doctor Who fandom as well. And he was out here for a Gallifrey convention, and we went to do a signing. He was signing one of his books about zombies at a shop called Dark Delicacies, which is here in Burbank.
Okay.
And I went along with him for the signing. And while we were there, I found this is ridiculous, but I found an autographed copy of the Deathstalker 2 soundtrack.
Yes.
Signed by Chuck Serino. And I had to own it.
How dare you say things are ridiculous? Do you not understand this show? We have open arms, my friend.
I ran a haunted house for 20 years, and Monique Gabrielle came and signed it.
Okay.
So I know exactly where you're at, man.
Right. Okay.
All good.
Well, I mean, I'm a huge fan of Deathstalker 2. I think it's just it's a romp.
Underrated classic.
It absolutely is. And so I bought the soundtrack, and then Arnold and I were chatting about it, and because he had never seen the movie. And lo and behold, we just, out of this conversation, we thought, well, what if we did a movie guide about sword and sorcery movies? Because at the time, we hadn't really seen something like that. Yeah. And so we started small, and we started putting together, well, what would be our wish list? What would we want to cover? How would we want to do it? And he had already worked on some movie guides and TV guides prior to that. And so we came up with this idea that we would cover 50 movies in depth with long chapters devoted to each one with comprehensive information. And we'd interview directors and actors and composers and whoever else we could get in touch with. And then we would also have a full index at the back, which wound up being 400 some films. So 50 in depth, 400 some covers quite a number of movies. And we just kind of dove in and we divvied them up. We had our wish lists of what we wanted to cover. I absolutely had movies I wanted to write the chapters on, and wound up talking with a lot of great people. And I did talk with folks who worked on Deathstalker 2, by the way. So, and I'm actually friends with Chuck Serino, the guy who did the score. But I talked to John Terlesky, I talked to Jim Wynorski. It was a lot of fun. I mean, I do say that I don't think I would ever want to do a project like that again, ever, because it did take years to produce. But I'm very proud of it. And in the gaming industry, because it does have some gaming content, we did get nominated for an Annie Award, which is sort of the big award that's given out at Gen Con every year. But we lost to a coloring book. So, take that.
Well, if only you'd written it prior to 1980, then all you had to include was Hawk the Slayer and and the Lord of the Rings animated. Done.
We go all the way back to the silent era. So it's silent films all the way up to I think at the time when we wrote the book, The Hobbit was out. So we wrote about that, and I think we did devote chapters to all of the Lord of the Rings movies and also The Hobbit. So
Okay,
Was
so
there anything on your wish list that you wanted to do? Well, that was on your wish list and you weren't sure that you were going to get, and you were able to get the green light to get to talk about it?
I mean, in this book you're talking
Yes.
about? I mean, this one was it was just the two of us working on this, so we could do whatever we wanted.
Okay.
So, but we were really lucky. I mean, everybody I reached out to got back in touch with me.
Awesome.
And that wound up, like I say, being actors and directors and screenwriters. And I mean, everybody wanted to talk about these movies, especially the really awful B ones from from the early 80s. And they were just so excited to talk about them and share their stories. And what was really funny is I had a great chat with Bill Stout. Now, Bill had done a lot the poster art for Wizards. He's pretty famous for that, but I mean, a variety of other things. But he also wrote the screenplay for The Warrior and the Sorceress, the original draft of that. And that's an awful movie. But so I reached out to him, and he wrote 4 or 5 pages of material for me to mine that told all this whole backstory about how he worked on that movie and how the script got stolen from him. And it was crazy. And I said, well, Bill, can I actually use this? Because this seems almost libelous. Like, is anybody going to get sued if I tell these stories? And he said, nope, it's wide open. Go for it. Nice. So just with that one example alone, and alongside a lot of other ones, we have stuff in this book stories that have never been told. So I'm very, very proud of it. And everybody I know who's read it has enjoyed it. One of the things we definitely wanted to do with it was not just make it a sort of stale encyclopedia of movies. It's very readable, and there's a lot of our personalities in it. And so a lot of this is discussions about movies, especially some of the really awful ones. You know exactly where we're coming from. Oh, there.
So bad.
Yeah, So
not to be confused with just the sorceresses.
No,
there is sorceress. Yeah, and yeah, she does have 4 in the movie.
Yep.
So,
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, but she's just a dancer. She's not really even a main character.
Yeah, I know,
it's very bizarre.
Bit part. Yeah,
it's a miserable movie. I mean, David Carradine broke his wrist when he was shooting it, and that's why he's got this weird leather gauntlet thing on for the whole movie. I swear he just did it to support his coke habit. I mean, it's really an awkward film to watch, and it's just depressing.
They had to fill those fantasy shelves at the video store somehow, man.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure they rented well, but there were a lot of really bottom of the barrel movies we covered in that book, and I always like to tell people about sort of the ones that are the high points and the ones that are definitely the bottom of the barrel, and that one's pretty low.
Yeah,
Conquest,
that was the one photo I could download and at least show people.
Yeah.
I'm like,
Yeah.
Conquest, directed by Lucio Fulci, is another one. It's just sort of a really awful experience watching it.
Yeah. So the big question is the Edgar Wright question: Krull or Hawk the Slayer?
Hawk the Slayer is rubbish. No, Hawk the Slayer is wonderful, and I actually would say that Krull. I like Hawk the Slayer more than Krull for sure.
Agreed.
Yeah,
it's really aged better, even though it's the lower budget. You know, it's
a romp, and it's fun. And Krull, I think, was too big for its britches. It's just big and bloated and too much money, and I just think it falls on its face a lot. It's got some neat stuff. Don't get me wrong, but I wasn't my discussion of that film is not as glowing as it was for Hawk the Slayer. And Hawk the Slayer's got a great soundtrack.
Yes.
I just want one of those kids who wanted the glaive and take it to school. Just, somebody pissed me off.
But the thing about the glaive is a quick little.
Give me an A.
Give me an A right now. Nothing. The glaive did nothing in that.
Nothing in the whole movie. Nothing.
It really.
It looks awesome, but it doesn't do anything.
It wasn't until Blade that it became cool. Come on.
Yeah, there you go.
It got stuck. That's what pissed me off. Well, I can't go hunting with a thing. I'll get stuck in something. I'll be totally screwed there.
No, they defeat the monster with love fire.
Let's just talk about Deathstalker 2 for the next 20 minutes.
Okay.
Let's do the Deathstalker 2 podcast. That'll be great. Yeah.
Well, we do have an after party coming up here very shortly.
Yeah.
We are coming to the end of the audio portion that'll go out to the podcast. So you are welcome. Please stick around. We have an extra half hour that we can do some after show stuff. Cool. Melanie, I know you got to go right as soon as the show ends.
Mm-hmm.
You want to tell everybody where we can find you?
Just basically at piecesofmelee.com or on my Instagram here. The murals were complete. As people were kind of watching me do the murals around Tampa, so now I'm painting. Back to it, getting ready for MegaCon prep. So once we start getting more of our schedule, I'll be at MegaCon, Tampa Bay Comic Con. I believe Wizard World is doing. Oh, they just announced which one they were going to go to.
Yep.
Chicago, right?
I was about to mention that.
So
in the after party.
stay tuned. Keep following, and I can tell you where you can find me there.
You're going to Chicago?
If Wizard World wants me.
Okay. Yeah, me too. I was like, it was.
Oh, suddenly, Chris, like, yeah. I mean, I got a brand new alternator. I could drive now.
It depends on.
I will fly. No.
Wizard World wants me.
Yes, 100%.
I mean, Melanie's already sorted her serpentine belt, so I mean,
know, right?
Yeah.
How difficult that is, especially when you know you have an 8mm socket somewhere and you can't find it because someone moved it.
Put some mileage on there. Speaking of mileage, folks, for those of you listening to our audio podcast on iHeartRadio, on Spreaker, on Spotify, where is that list? There we go. Everybody who's listening on iHeartRadio, sci-fi.radio, our friends over there, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, CBSRadio.com, Spreaker, FM, Player FM, wherever you're listening to your to this podcast. If you're listening to it, we want to thank the Hanging With Web Show TV outlet for producing those shows on the audio. And please continue to listen. But we're going to end the show right now as far as the audio is concerned. So thank you for joining us. Please continue to stay logged on, tuned in, and become part of the legend.
And we're back for the after party.
Yeah. After party where only you
can talk about whatever we want. Wait, what are we doing?
Why is he going to release an arrow under his armpit? That's really interesting.
Yeah, is that Bruce Campbell?
No.
That's a balance.
John Terry was in Lost.
Yeah,
he was.
That's Jack Palance,
but Jack Palance is the bad guy. Yeah,
Darth Palance in the back.
And then, so here's my
note
from Monique. So,
wow, I am so jealous. That's fantastic.
Yeah, she was at her retirement stage. She was just starting to do the adult biz down in Miami, and she came up when I was like, "Hey, we're running a haunted house. You did Transylvania Twist. Do you want to come up and sign for us?" And she was just beautiful and brilliant and just awesome. And then I kept walking up with Deathstalker 2 stuff, and she just thought that was hysterical. Everybody else is there for horror, and I've got her for Deathstalker.
Oh yeah, no, she's actually surprisingly decent in that movie. I mean, playing 2 roles, and she does a good job. And
good stuff. And then she was talking about posing for Vallejo for that, and it was so
that is not John Terlesky though.
No.
If you see John in the movie, that he does not look anything like
that wasn't her. She just posed the top face. That's actually his usual model, and just he used her face, which is great. But she had to send a picture. She said it was pretty.
That's hysterical.
That's good stuff.
Stored in your pocket, or are you just happy to see me?
Yes. Oh my God, such a great movie.
That's the Slayer's why
you'll be bigger than Conan.
Wow.
Yeah, that was so many running gags in that movie, and it was just just way too good for its own britches. If it had a budget, that would have been a great movie. So
I mean, I won't tell the entire story out of the book, but the whole thing with that was, of course, they had already done the first Deathstalker, which was just this sort of awful, rapey, terrible movie. I mean, it's just not good. And so then they got Wynorski and a few other people involved in Terlesky, and they said, we want you to do Deathstalker 2, and they had a script. And the story goes, they chucked it in the trash and just sat in their hotel room in Argentina and wrote the script for Deathstalker 2, which they wanted to deliberately be a send-up to the genre. And that's why it's loaded with Looney Tunes jokes and Three Stooges gags. And it's just they want what Jim Wynorski said was they wanted to write something. They knew that if they did it seriously, people would laugh at it, and they would much rather have people laugh with them. So that's what wound up happening. And it's a blast. It's a really corny, fun film.
And then they kind of went backwards with 3 and 4. They tried to make them more serious.
Nothing to do with them. Those guys, they were gone. And now John, like Terlesky, he directs and stuff now too. So he's directs TV, and they're all doing their own thing now.
Dave, all I'm saying is when you do bits of the TARDIS for this episode, you should have a counter every time Melanie's cat waves his tail in the air. Have the count go up.
She's laying on my arm right now. Oh, I'm so
Have
sorry.
the cat grow up.
Yeah!
There we go.
Look, another cat.
What's his name?
This is Ginsu. It's a little
Ginsu?
girl.
Oh,
Yeah. And then we have another one who I think, she's that black lump back there.
That furry little ball back there. Okay.
Yeah,
I'm
she's
driving
big
the heads.
though. She's a big black furry cat, and that's Jinx. So.
Aw. Well, with that, I got to scoot. Thank
Yay.
you so very much, Scott, for being on, and everybody have fun at the after party.
Take care. Thank you.
And I just want to let everybody know who's still on and who happens to be in the area. I didn't get a chance to mention it. Where is it? Bonda. VillaCon is going to be taking place at the end of the month. One day, June 26th, Saturday, June 26th from noon until 8. This is the first convention of its kind. VillaCon, unleash your darker side. Now, the Traveling TARDIS will be there without me. We're actually going to be having, Jessica Womack, who was over for all of our friends who were at Central Florida Comic-Con. Jessica Womack will be there hosting one panel so far for Doctor Who, and she's got a fun little surprise for you, as well as we'll have a booth out there if you want to help geek out and talk to Jessica. So for all our friends who were at Central Florida Comic-Con this past weekend, if you want to check Jessica out and the team down there and attend the panel, this is the first con out there. It's going to be taking place of VillaCon, I should say, not of its kind, but VillaCon. Wyndham Orlando Resort on International Drive. Check it out. It is just a one-day event, and all of that for $5. That's it, $5 for the event. So check it out, because we want to support these people, and we want to let Lewis and everybody who's running this convention know we support them. They're just getting off the ground, and we want to make sure that they stick around and do more conventions out there. Yeah, and I want to thank again Ben Penrod for Central Florida Comic-Con. Now, this past weekend was just wonderful. If anything, it was just nice to see people moving around again and just being part of the convention. It made a huge difference out there. I'm reading this from... Let me see if I can share the screen on this. Hold on a second. Sorry, Scott. I know it's your show.
You do what you need to do.
Oh, okay. Well, if that's the case, everybody see it. This is from the Nerds and Beyond article, which is very weird, team, because I've looked everywhere. The only place that I don't see this, and maybe they're going to put it out later, is Wizard World's own page.
Yep.
But there's a lot of entries out here. But I found Nerds and Beyond. Wizard World Chicago returns October 15th through the 17th. Here are all the listings. Digital Journal, I saw that. Daily Herald. I'm not familiar with these websites, but everybody's just repeating themselves that Wizard World is going to return. Its very first convention is going to take place this October 15th through the 17th, and you're damn straight if I can get up there. I'm going up there. So
Chicago?
That is Chicago, yes.
Okay.
Oh my goodness there. Hello, doctors.
I'm already booked for it's not Spooky Empire's the next weekend, but there's another horror con that same weekend that I'm already booked at. So it's like, too many in October and too many in August. It's crazy. So.
Hey, September's not any better. September's not any better.
September's getting bad. Yeah, September's getting bad too. So
it's looking like I'll be in the States for pretty much the entirety of September on the road. So,
nice.
Yay for that.
You need to come down.
Yeah,
I'm working on it. I'm working on it.
Labor
Day,
only
Florida. It's only
Labor Day
all the way down the country.
Sinister Nights in Miami. There's a bunch down here that week. That September too. I forgot. So,
Scott,
go ahead.
No, go ahead. Speaking of horror, I know that it's not just one mythos you've done with Doctor Who, but you also did a Dark Shadows audio for The Rage Beneath. In fact, I think this featured Robert Rodin, who passed away earlier this year. But I think it's his only appearance, in at least in the Big Finish mythos as Adam, because his character pretty much just, I wouldn't say went up into the attic, and that's the last we heard of him, but it was close to the past. But to write those established characters of Quentin and Maggie, and yet to try and bring something original to that's apart from what was considered Halloween 5 days a week. You're trying to bring in a sense of suspense with that, and still try and remain loyal to the brand. How at least what was going through your thought process trying to put this all together? Great audio, by the way.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, I mean, that was the first season, because this was like the season finale of that mini season. It was the first of the Dark Shadows audios that had been produced by Big Finish, and I got brought in to do that. I grew up with Dark Shadows as well. It was one of those shows that I used to watch with my mother, and I have pretty vivid memories of being outside playing and having my mom call me home because Dark Shadows was on, and had to run home and watch Barnabas. So yeah, when that was another one when it got offered to me, I immediately leapt at it. I thought it would be a great opportunity to write something that I was familiar with, but maybe, well, I knew Gary flat out said he knew very little about it. So I think that was one of the reasons he reached out to me, just because he knew I was an American and probably had watched the show as a kid. So it was great because we had a lot of limitations that were set from the outset. For example, no cell phones. The era, it was still supposed to be 70s-ish, but it was kind of its own Dark Shadows version time should have advanced a little bit in the setting naturally, but they didn't want to have a lot of technology. We had to be careful with the kind of stuff that we could talk about and use. And so what I wound up basically doing was just looking back at the original episodes, just immersing myself in all that stuff, and then writing something that felt pretty much like it could fit into the original series. And of course we got, we had an unlimited budget, so we could do whatever we wanted with it. And that's why I thought, I want a ghost ship, and I want ghosts, and they want sort of an homage to the fog, and all this kind of stuff. So it was a lot of fun. I had a blast with that.
And the comfort also of being in Los Angeles, probably being in studio with Catherine Lee Scott and David Selby, Robert, I trust Jameson Selby, his son, and I trust Jim Pearson was probably lurking around as well.
It was a lot of fun to go down for the recording of that, and of course, we did it here in LA, and a little studio off of Sunset, if I remember. And Gary flew out for that to direct, and it was just a blast to be able to meet all those people and sit and chat with them. And I got a few things signed, and I have a little cameo in that audio as well. I have a cameo in that, and then I think I also have a cameo in one of the other ones that were done. They just said, stay in the booth for a second, we need 2 lines. So I got to read a couple more lines, and so I've at least made my mark as a writer and an actor in both Doctor Who and Dark Shadows, which is kind of cool.
That's fantastic.
Yeah.
Thanks. All right, Scott, I got a question.
Yeah.
You are brought in to write in one story for Jodie Whittaker's Doctor. What do you write? What do you want to put her through?
Holy hell.
Here we go. Okay, good. There's the title.
Is that the title?
Holy hell. That would be a
You're going to put Jodie through hell. Is that what you're saying?
I already did that to Paul McGann in Absolution. So, I'm not sure. The thing about Jodie's stuff is that I personally feel like they're not taking enough chances with the new characters. I think they could be doing stuff that for the most part it's felt very safe, except for some of the stuff that happened the last season, but I don't like to talk about that. I'm not a big fan of some of the directions it's gone, let's just put it that way. And I thought from the outset, I really felt that they were mixing things up. They were casting a woman. It just had so much potential to go off in completely gonzo directions, and instead I felt like they played it very, very safe. And I was a little let down. But
I think she should have had one companion so that the audience could focus on her. Having multiple companions, for me, just kind of took it away from having a focus on her. Because I think if you just have one companion that the audience could relate to her, and for people who were like on the fence, like, so some of my friends were like, oh, I don't know how to take a female doctor. I think we slowly absolved that instead, because I kind of felt like it was now the Peter Davison era, because you had all these companions, and then some of them you had to lock them up in a jail or put them in a rock quarry or something like that, because we don't know what to do with them. And speaking of which, if you were going to make a statement, I want to throw this in here, and forgive me if I might have some wrong information, but this is from Big Finish itself, and these are all the stories by word search that are yours. If I got that, you mentioned Absolution, Guilt, the Dark Shadows. There you go. There's the Juggernauts.
So yeah, the House of Despair. I actually I think I'm just credited as having as an actor in that one, if I remember right.
Okay.
So I did not I didn't write that one, but yeah, certainly the other stuff for audios total. So.
Gotcha. And if you look, and guys, these are really great. So the Dark Shadows are only $3 if you want to get a little bit some more stuff. And Darvos, I've already got the series, but I'm actually thinking about buying the complete set. It's only $13. Absolution's only $13, so that you can. And from what I hear, everybody loves Darvos.
Yeah,
it's.
So
I've heard some segments.
There's not a bad one in the bunch.
So that
I have a 2-hour commute every day, and a Big Finish is the only thing that saved me. So I've listened to every Big Finish up until like this year.
Wow. No, I mean, I gotta say that obviously it was a blast writing for Terry again, but writing for Peter Miles was amazing.
Yeah,
and I'm so glad I had the opportunity to do that, and especially because I wanted to write a slightly. I mean, it does bookend with the beginning of Genesis of the Daleks pretty closely, but I still wanted to write Nider as more of an action star sort of character. So there's big gunfights, and there's a big rescue attempt that happens, and all this kind of stuff. And it's like we know Peter couldn't do that now for sure, and he also was so stoic in Genesis of the Daleks. He was pretty much just standing at Davros' shoulder for the most part, but I really wanted to see him kind of go bonkers and put on body armor and start shooting people. And it was like this. It was like I really wanted to see Nider being that guy, and I was so happy to be able to do it. I think he had a blast reading those lines too.
Who's your doctor, Scott?
Wonderful chap, all of them. I started.
No, you can't use that excuse on here.
I know you can't. I mean, chap, right?
Well, anyone, yeah.
I started with Pertwee back in the 70s. Not to say he's my favorite, but I have fondness for all of them in many ways. It really is tough for me to lock one down, and there's been periods where I've thought, well, I'm a Tom Baker fan or a Peter Davison fan or whatever, but I also just became an enormous Colin Baker fan because I always felt like he was an actor who just wasn't served well by the material, and he was so good, and I just really wanted to see him shine in other ways, and that's why I was so happy that Big Finish got him, and of course he's been just produced so much content, and being able to write for him I think was pretty enlightening as well. So yeah, I have a fondness for all of them, I gotta say. I think for the modern era though, I'm very much a David Tennant fan. So
I'm a Capaldi fan.
I'm a Capaldi fan. I think Capaldi also got bad material that he could have done better with. So, yeah.
I agree with you, Mark. I mean, he was so good, but every once in a while, we were just sort of let down by.
We got weirded out. I'm like,
a little weirded.
Plus, we lost a season to Sherlock, so that was they skipped a year of them for Sherlock. So
that's true. Yeah.
What do you look forward now that Gallifrey is going to be up and running again in mid-February? Because that's going to be a party to beat the bank.
Well, the funny thing is I haven't attended to Gallifrey in years, and it's here in LA. Yeah, what wound up happening was after the Big Finish thing sort of faded away, I felt like if I just kept going back, I would be sort of milking my successes and would become more and more irrelevant as time went on, and it would just feel.
You make it sound like a bad thing.
No, I know what you're saying, but I saw too many people who were doing that. Let's put it that way.
Yeah,
and it's like, oh, they wrote one thing, but they're there every year on stage, commanding the event. But it's like, oh, your contributions are minor. So I kind of started to back away a little bit. Now the funny thing is, though, of course, that's when I started to get more involved in tabletop game design. And so, for not many people know this, but when Gallifrey takes place, at the hotel next door to it is a gaming convention. So every year Gallifrey is going on, I'm next door at the gaming convention either
They just perked up.
playtesting or doing panels or whatever. And I do meet up with friends who come into town.
So I know where I'm going. Which one is that?
It's called Strategicon. That's sort of the umbrella. And then they do 3 different cons throughout the year. So there's Game Storm, Game X, and oh gosh, I can't remember the name of the other one, Orcon, I think. But they all fall under the umbrella of Strategicon, and there just so happens to be a February one that falls at the exact same time as Gallifrey. So there have been a few times where I've done the gaming convention and then was able to get over to Gallifrey and participate in we used to do Mystery Theater 337, which is sort of the MST 3000 version of Doctor Who, for Doctor Who rather. So I did a couple of those, even though I was not actually guesting at the convention. So it's weird. Crossover's bizarre.
Well, WHOBbyCon's an animal within itself.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
But they've gotten a lot more strict too. You're very limited to where you can go once you go in there. So what tends to happen is I usually just meet up with people outside of the con and we go to dinners and lunches.
Yeah.
So
understood.
Yeah, it's like up in Columbus, the Midwest Haunters convention for Halloween and horror enthusiasts is the same weekend as Origins. And always, so I go up for both and it's like, all right, so I'm doing this day here because there's a couple panels I need to talk to, a couple people I need to talk to. And then I'm speaking at this one and then I got to sneak over to Origins to play.
Right. Yeah, it's going to be really rough for me next year. So my favorite gaming convention is called KublaCon and it's held up in the Bay Area here in California. And I've been going to that for many, many years. I just adore it. It's beautifully run. It's just a great event. Of course, they canceled last year. They canceled this year. It's Memorial Day weekend. And it's going to happen again next year. Star Wars Celebration is next year on Memorial Day weekend. And for a variety of reasons, mainly for my wife's sake, we have to do Star Wars Celebration. So I'm going to have to miss KublaCon 3 years in a row, and it pains me so.
Yeah.
No.
Such an awful year.
We did get our hotel right there, which is nice.
Nice.
So yeah, I mean, we'll have a good time, and she'll probably do some signings and stuff. So celebration will be a good one.
Where's that one going to be at? Is that one
Anaheim?
Anaheim. Okay, because I know they're moving back to Orlando. I think the year after.
I think so. Yeah. So this one was supposed to be last year here in Anaheim, and then they canceled it, so they're bumping it to next year. And
because I think it was supposed to be Orlando this year, and then all right, so that makes sense. Cool.
Still walking distance of Disneyland, so it's totally fine.
By the way, as you're in beautiful downtown Burbank, or so it seems, has anything replaced the Cloud9 they closed down? Is it a Walmart now, or?
Well, that was just a set, but
I know.
Yeah. Did you ever see it when you drove past Universal? You could actually see the facade.
A guy I worked with for about 5 years up until recently, we would fly to Los Angeles and he would do some taping of wraparounds for a couple of music specials here and there for public broadcasting. And I remember we were in the limousine going to the Beverly Hills Hotel, and he was telling the driver, is there a place we can go to, a 24-hour place or something? And he said, oh, wait, never mind. Just go in this store. And I said, that's not a store. Bullshit. It's a store. No, it's not. Yeah, it's a store. It says Cloud9. No. You. The guy doesn't watch modern television. He watches Barnaby Jones and Cannon and Maude, and so it's like
he's a big Quinn Martin fan.
There's an IP. There's an IP for a role playing game. Cannon.
Yeah. So it's like, okay, all right. Let the driver explain. If the driver explains it, then he'll fall in. But it's like I can't. It's like he. Yeah.
That's funny.
Yeah.
You're listening to the Traveling TARDIS, a Quinn Martin production, written by Scott Woodard.
The Quinn Martin role-playing game.
Oh, there we go. Stephen J. Cannell produced.
Yeah.
All right, gang. I've got to run myself. I know we're getting near the end. So.
Well, we are near the end, so we'll go ahead and wrap it up. For those of you who are just, I've just posted in the chats if you want to check out our review of the Juggernaut, and definitely download the Juggernaut. It's only like $3 on Big Finish. Get it on your app and listen to it. It's a nice. I think it's about 90 minutes long, and it was Very entertaining. I loved it. I mean, it's Terry Molloy as Darvos. You can't go wrong with that, for crying out loud. Written by Scott out there, and check out all his great stuff. Want to thank everybody who's joined us today. Wrapping up on the closing comments. Don't forget to go check out the rathole.ca/who and the website, or his Facebook page and his YouTube channel, the Rat Hole. Dave Chapman out there. Don't forget Mark Muncy with Erie, Florida. I got to point in the right direction there.
ErieFlorida.com. You can find out all the stuff I'm allowed to talk about that's not NDA. And but you can find our books there. We'll be at Coffee Shop of Horrors in Tavares this weekend for a big fundraiser there. They had a rough year because of the pandemic, so we love them. They make fun coffees themed after horror things, so I'm there for.
Oh yeah, they'll pick back up in no time. My goodness.
Oh yeah. So we're hoping they
Their
make it
coffee's
through.
good.
Once Spooky Empire hits, they'll be back to normal.
Gotcha.
But yeah, we're helping them through the summer, and then the week after that is we're going to be signing at a bookstore that is on our website. So just go there because I can't remember it. I'm sorry.
Mr. Joey Reynolds, where they can reach you at Geek Radio America.
Yes, geekradioamerica.com. And yes, the slogan is Radio for the Inner Geek in You. Go to that page and you can just click onto the link for our 24/7 channel on Live 365, which I got set up over the weekend. So a lot of great stuff going on there. And if I may, Scott, what's keeping you off the streets this time of year?
A little bit of everything. All I'm going to say is I'm a workaholic, and this is all I do is sit at my computer and write. So,
gotcha. Don't forget,
and 103 degrees out here right now, so that's keeping me off the streets. That's for sure.
Yes. PEGINC.com. And where else can they find you? Where else can they find you, Scott?
You can find me on Twitter at SA Woodard. You can always check me out there. I tend to post mostly about pop culture crap, but I do slip into politics once in a while. Sorry, don't be afraid. I'll come back to the pop culture stuff eventually. And you can always look me up on Facebook. Just look for my name. You'll find me. There's goofy pictures of me and stuff, so you'll know it's the right one when there's a Dalek or something on there. So.
So thanks to our friends at Amazon.com, FameTech, FAMETEK, for those of you who somehow, never mind, you're not listening to us, you're watching us, /FameTech. I told you, it's been that kind of convention.
Yeah.
I mean, it takes 3 days for me to recover from a convention. We're on day 2 of that. Dr.-worldsapart.com. And if you want your product or your service showcased either on our Facebook page or here on the show, advertise with us. Email us at sage@hangingwith, that's spelled HANGIN, withshow.com, or myself, and we'll get you the rates and prices as far as packages are concerned, and you will get your attention out there. Don't forget to subscribe to our Facebook page. We are climbing up to almost 55,000 followers.
Nice.
We are nearing that high number down there. The Legend of the Traveling TARDIS.com. Also, we want to thank our friends over at Wizard World, Facebook.com Wizard World. They are having, I'm assuming, I don't want to clarify it yet because it hasn't been on their official site, but it looks like they're going to be having a convention in Chicago. And don't forget to check out their merch store, wizardworld.com. wizardworldvault.com. And thank you all for joining us here. Please stay safe. We want to see you out there. Don't forget to see Jessica over at VillaCon on the 26th. And we will be going. Yeah, there you go. Don't forget that. Get that book.
Get it. It's great.
And we've been declared at 3 locations so far. MegaCon, Orlando, which will be taking place in August. Tampa Bay Comic-Con, which will be, I believe, the end of July and August. And by some chance, we still haven't clarified it yet, we'll probably be remoted in SD Who, better known as San Diego Who. And I've also, got recently interviewed by John Lee, who runs San Diego Who. Have you been out there at that convention?
I have not.
Oh,
no, I have to look into it.
Gotcha. I need to talk to John about you being on. You're already on that side of the coast.
I'm just 2 hours north. Yeah.
There you go. And don't forget this.
Just say, the Juggernauts was number 3 on the Radio Times poll. I'm just toss that out there.
Yeah,
there you go.
Well deserved.
Exactly. And don't forget to subscribe and hit the notification bell, youtube.com/The Legend of the Traveling TARDIS. We are closing in on 1,300 subscribers. Wow, I want to give myself a little more credit there. And we're trying to get our watch hours. We're trying to meet our goals with there, so a lot more people will find us and see us out there. Thank you, everybody, for joining us. Please stay safe. Please continue to become part of the legend. Oh, that's it. That's all I can say about that.
Go watch Deathstalker 2. For those of you who haven't, go watch it. Watch
Absolutely.
it now. Double feature Walk the Slayer. You'll have a great night. Just trust me.
You got it. Scott, any last words to the audience before we go?
No, just thanks very much for bringing me on. I had a great time, guys.
No, we had a great time too. And everybody stay safe out there because we want to see you out in the convention circuit and always become part of the legend.